All right, perfect. So welcome once again, everyone, to your deep dive this month. We're going to be talking all about scaling up, saving time, and supporting your clients with automations. So we're really excited about this topic today. I am Jen Miller, and this is my colleague Sam. We will be guiding you through today's session. And yeah, we're actually really going to just walk through all of the automations in the platform. So in Practice Better. And this is actually something that's been a request we've received from many of you for a deep dive topic to actually just go through all of the automations. So we're really looking forward to doing that with you today and hope that that will be really supportive for you. So the first thing and sort of where we want to start before we share our screen and start diving into things is just how do we actually sort of define or explain automations or this idea of automating your business, right? So first we want to put that out to all of you joining us live. So what does automating your business mean to you? So put that in the chat. Let us know, even if it's just one word that comes to mind. What does automating your business mean to you? So yeah, simplifying, less work, save time. Yeah, less hands-on work, onboarding. Yeah, protocols, less frustration, totally freedom, better time management, efficiency. Yeah, so good. Yep, streamlining processes. Absolutely. Yeah. So I feel like that, you know, it's all of those things really, and better client experience, sleep better. I love that one. So good. Yeah. Yeah. So automating your business, like it's really going to, in essence, just sort of give you that time back to focus on what's most important to you, you know, of course, working with your clients and supporting them, but also not burning out yourself and being able to have a business that feels really good to you. So, you know, finding ways to take the manual process out of things, alleviate the time something takes, and that a mental component or energetic component to making things more streamlined or intuitive or efficient. All of those pieces. So with the automations aspect of Practice Better. So and you can let us know also in the chat if you all who are joining have experience setting up automations, or if you're sort of newer to that and you haven't done it yet, let us know sort of where you're at on that scale too. But for anyone who maybe hasn't had a chance to play around with it, automations in Practice Better are basically like setting up a one and done workflow for yourself. So we're going to go through all of the different options that you have, but it's sort of this, you know, set it up once, and then you don't have to worry about it again kind of thing. So I see that we have a range. So some of you are beginners and new at this. Some have a little bit of experience, done some automations. Give us all the deets. Jennifer says, yeah, good. Okay, amazing. Suzanne, I've automated my forms to be sent to new clients. Nice. Okay, so yeah, so we're hopeful that this session will be really supportive to you then, and really walking through the different ways you can do this and practice better. So Sam, let's go ahead and turn our cameras off. We'll share our screen and we'll start diving in here. All right.
Perfect. Can you see my screen, Jen?
Yeah, I think it's just loading there. Perfect. That looks great. Let me just get my chat back up here. All right, perfect. Yeah, so what we're going to do as we go throughout our session and our time together today is we're going to walk through the different automations in an order that will sort of follow the natural client journey and your own workflow as you work with clients. So I just want to give you a little summary of the automations that we're going to go through first. So we're going to look at how you can add new clients automatically, as well as auto confirm new bookings or package requests, which really takes that manual process out of it. We're going to look at how you can automatically organize your clients from the get-go using the tags feature. We're going to look at automating the sending of forms to clients, which is a big one. That'll really help streamline and save time, as well as automatically import data into your client's file. How to keep your clients and yourself also organized and accountable using the tasks feature and automating tasks. And then also automating the payment process for your clients as well. Okay. So I see a couple comments. Can the screen go full screen? Looks full screen to me. Let's just see
You can try
here.
and stop and reshare it and see if that helps, Jen.
Yeah, maybe let's try that, or let's let us know if that looks okay. Someone said it is full screen. It looks full screen to me, but let's try that again just to double check. There we go. Yep, I think that looks all good. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. All right, so where we are going to start today is with our first automation around adding new clients automatically. Okay, so Sam's going to walk us through this in a moment, but just to sort of preface this, so in Practice Better, when your clients request sessions with you or packages, they register for programs or even submit forms, you'll have to manually add them as a client. So unless you set up this automation, which we're going to show you, and what this will do is we'll automatically add them and create a client record for them in the platform. And that's important because, you know, with certain services and packages, programs, and so on, you'll want their client record to be created and for them to have access to the platform. So a couple examples with that could be something like, you know, someone registers for your group program, it's a new client, but you want to make sure that they have access. You add them as a client right away so they can access that program content. Maybe someone books in with a package for maybe a 6-month package with you, and you again want them to have access to the platform. So they're going to need a client record. So this automation will just sort of take that manual step out of it for you. So this will come together a little bit more when Sam walks us through. So yeah, Sam, let's take a look at that now.
Thanks so much, Jen. So as you mentioned, we'll be going through this chronologically, just to kind of outline how you can automate the entire client onboarding process. So basically, you can be as hands-off as possible. So all of our automations, where we will be spending the majority of this deep dive, can be found in My Practice and Automations. Sorry, and I went a little bit faster. That was just My Practice. We scroll down here and click on Automations. So to create our first one, we'll just select the fast action icon in the bottom right-hand corner. And when we click this, the Create Automation window will open. So from here, you'll be able to see all of the automations that you can choose from on our platform. So one thing I'd like to note is that if you are on the team plan, like you have other practitioners who use the platform with you, these options here, the add invite new clients one, as well as the add, update, or remove client tags, those will only appear if you are the team owner of the account like I am. So for now, we're going to go ahead and select the add invite new clients option. And the first step here is going to be to give our automation a name. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'll just give this a name for my own reference. So I'm going to name it Register Clients for Health Reset Program and 6-month package. So with these automation names are entirely for your own reference. They won't be visible to your clients. So I would recommend being as descriptive as possible in case you plan on setting up a lot of automations. So that way you can kind of, if you ever need to come back and edit it or review any of your settings, you can kind of tell which automation controls what. So the important option here that I'm going to check off is you'll see this give new clients access to the portal option. So once I enable this, this is the option that will invite your clients to the platform. If no automation exists, the client will be added to Practice Better as a prospective client. If an automation exists and this option isn't checked, then that means a client record will be created for them, but they will not be invited to the platform. However, because I do want them to be invited, I have checked this off. So this means that when a client books any of the services, packages, or programs that I have checked off below, they will immediately receive an invitation, and it will be an email, and it will ask them to activate their account so they can sign in. So you'll also notice here these two options to give access to the food journal as well as give access to the lifestyle journal. I'm going to go ahead and enable both of these. This means that when the client record is created, your clients will have access to both journals by default, and they can log things like their food intake, exercise, sleep, and other journal relevant data. If you do not want your clients to have this by default, you can leave these disabled. And one thing to note too is you can provide access to the journals at any time in the future. So for this automation, because I only want a specific program, my health reset program, and a specific package, which is my 6-month package, to trigger this automation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here, and where it says trigger this automation only when a package is booked, I'm going to check that off. And then when I do so, you'll see this drop down appears. I can just go ahead and open this drop down, and it's going to show me all the packages that I have in my system. So I'm going to go ahead and select my Better Me 6 months package, because that's the one we're going to be working with for the majority of this deep dive. And then I'll just click here where trigger this automation only when a client registers for a program. I'll go ahead and check that off. And I'm going to select my health reset program here. So the way that I've configured this means that clients will only be invited to the platform when they book either this specific package or this specific program. If they were to book something else, for example, like my discovery call service, they would not receive an invitation. And the last option I want to point out here is you'll see this where you can add or remove tags. That can be triggered as part of this automation, but we're going to be going over how to set up tag automations independently later in the deep dive. So for now, I'm just going to leave this disabled. And now that I'm finished, all I have to do is click create, which is at the top right here. And once I've done so, my first automation will be done.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. That's great. So there's a question here I wanted to address from the chat. So how do you handle if it's a discovery call and you may not want the prospective client to have access to the portal yet? Yeah, so maybe Sam, just go back into edit this one and we can just show that setting again. So the first checkbox there, give new clients access to the client portal, that's optional. So you could still set this up to add the client, but then you wouldn't check that off and that would mean they won't have access to the portal. So that's one option. And then you could, following that discovery call, if you do decide to work together, you can give them access to the portal following that. So that would be a way to go about that one. That's a great question. All right. So yeah, just to mention too, as we go along, we'll address as many questions as we can, but we want to make sure we can get through all of our automations today. So if your question doesn't get answered, just know that we will have resources available for you at the end, as well as we'll be sending the follow-up replay for this session with all of the links to help articles and all of that as well. So just know that you'll have those available to you also. Okay. Wonderful. So now that we've set up that first automation to add our clients automatically, we want to look at the next piece here, which is your booking requests. So in Practice Better, when a client requests to book a service or a package with you, you'll need to actually manually confirm that request on your end as the practitioner, unless you set up this automation that we're going to look at. So it sort of depends how you like to manage your own booking and scheduling. And, maybe you prefer to review the request first, but in setting up this automation, it can actually save you a lot of time and streamline that booking process because it'll auto confirm those requests. So you can set this up, as you'll see in a moment, for all of your services or just specific services. And let's say there's an example of maybe you have that free discovery session that you offer. And for those ones, you want to manually review and approve those requests when they come in, because that's, going to be a brand new client. And maybe you want to review their details first to make sure it's a good fit and so on. But otherwise, you want all of your services to be automatically confirmed. That's just one example. So let's look at how we could set that one up, Sam.
Thanks, Jen. So there was a good question from Lindsay and Jordan about, is there any way for a client to receive reminders about a discovery call without them being added to the client portal? So there is an option for that if you have like session reminders set up. I won't go over it right now, but it would just be found in My Schedule and Booking and Cancellation settings. There you can enable an option to send reminders to clients who have not been invited to the platform. You would still, of course, need to have a client record for them, like they would need to exist in the platform, but they don't have to have they don't need to have activated their account in that case. Awesome. So let's talk about the confirming booking requests. So to set that up, I'm going to press the fast action icon again in the bottom right-hand corner. And when I do so, the Create Automation window will open again. And this time I'm going to select the confirm 101 booking requests. Again, I'm going to give this a specific name so I can keep track of it. So what I'm going to do is I'll name this, because I want this to confirm all of my bookings except for my discovery call. I've just named it as such. This allows you to kind of have more control with newer clients who are maybe booking for the first time and you don't necessarily want to proceed with. So if we scroll down below under which services should trigger this automation, I'll go ahead and expand this dropdown, and I'm going to check every service I offer except for my discovery call. And I'll just click out of here. So now when the client requests my initial consultation, for example, or my follow-up consultation, it will be confirmed automatically. So there's a few options below that I wanted to discuss. The first is this auto confirm rescheduled sessions. So this means that if a client reschedules a session with you in their client portal, the automation will also confirm that automatically. So if as a practitioner, you prefer to review rescheduling manually, you would want to disable this option. However, because I don't need to do that, I'm going to go ahead and leave it enabled. So there's a few more in-depth options here. The first is limit which service method should be auto-confirmed, which I just checked off. This is handy for if you want different service methods to be confirmed automatically. So, for example, if I only want my telehealth and phone sessions to be confirmed automatically, I could check that off here, and I would just uncheck in person. So this means that if a client schedules an in-person session, it would not be confirmed automatically. Whereas if they scheduled a video chat or phone session, it would be confirmed automatically. So this is a good feature for practitioners who offer in-person services and want to confirm those specifically in advance. So I'm just gonna go ahead and uncheck that. And then this other option here to limit the in-person locations. So if I go ahead and check that off, this is useful for those of you who offer services at multiple locations like offices or pharmacies. This will allow you to confirm sessions at specific locations while leaving other locations unconfirmed for you to manually review and confirm later. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck both of these because I don't want my automations to trigger based on method or location. And I just want them to trigger regardless of how a client is booking one of the services with me. So lastly, there is an option you'll see here to mark sessions confirmed on behalf of clients. So let's scroll down a little bit here. This means that your clients will not be asked to confirm their attendance in session confirmation and reminder notifications sent from Practice Better. Because myself as a practitioner, I'm assuming that the client booking the session is their confirmation that they will be attending. I'm just going to go ahead and leave this enabled. So now that I've configured everything, all I have to do is again select create, and all my sessions saved for my discovery call will now be confirmed automatically.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm just typing a response in the chat here. I was just responding to Julie around client scheduling and how to set that up. If you can use Practice Better, yes, you can. And if you are looking for more of some of the basics to get set up on the platform, if you're new, then we would recommend checking out our Getting Started webinar. And I'm just going to put the link in the chat right now. It's up on our YouTube page. Okay, so if you haven't really set yourself up, and you're kind of new, then that's definitely a great resource and a good first place to start. This deep dive is, looking at automation specifically and is a little bit more, I would say, for experienced intermediate advanced users. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thanks, Sam. So yeah, as we're setting up these automations, so you'll notice that a couple of them are going to be a little bit similar. So the next one we're going to do is to auto confirm new package requests. So just like we set this one up to auto confirm our new booking request, we can also do that for our packages, which is nice. And so, yeah, similar functionality. Let's say maybe you have a 6-month package that you work with clients on, and you want all clients who purchase that package to be confirmed automatically without needing you to review that request, right? And so in both of these cases with, confirming new booking requests or new package requests, it is just going to save you a lot of time and really streamline that process and make sure that you don't miss something because, maybe a request comes in and you don't get a chance to review that right away, where you can just set up these automations and you don't have to worry about that at all. So let's look at how we can set this up for a package as well.
Thanks, Jen. So as you mentioned, confirming packages, it's structurally similar to confirming new booking requests. So to set this up, again, I'm going to press our fast action icon. And this time I'm going to click on the purple one here, which is confirm new package requests. So I'm going to go ahead and name this 6-month package confirmation, just for my own records. And underneath which package to trigger this automation, I'm going to again select my Better Me 6 months package, and I'll uncheck this one here. So I'm going to leave, this time I'm going to disable give clients access to the client portal option. One thing I want to note is that if you have the give clients access to the client portal option enabled for multiple automations, this does not mean that the client will be invited each time, as this trigger of the automation will only apply to brand new clients. And then one other thing I want to note is that anytime you create a new service package or program, you would need to come back to your automations to add them manually. So if I were to add a new package, for example, I would have to come back here and just check it off, and then it would this automation would trigger for that package as well. So that one is a pretty straightforward one. So now all I have to do is select create, and now all of my 6-month packages will confirm automatically.
Perfect. Yeah. And that was a really good point you mentioned, Sam, around, when you set up new packages, you'll need to come back to your automation to add them in. And that's, I think just such an important piece to highlight as, you grow your practice, you add more like packages and services and so on. You'll want to always be thinking about, which automations do I need to update or add new ones to ensure that those packages, programs, services are also included in that new automation. So just something really good to keep in mind as you're setting all of these up for yourself. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So now we've got a couple things set up. So just to do a bit of a recap. So we've set up our, confirming new clients automatically with our packages, our bookings. And the next thing we want to talk about actually is client tags. And this next automation, the tags automation, I just want to highlight first, is available on our professional plan and up. So just as we're going through this, just keep that in mind. Everything else we've talked about so far is available in all of our plans. Okay. So as you're starting to see new clients, or you have more clients booking different offerings with you, it's important to have a way to really keep them organized so you can keep track of where they're at and where your business is at. And tags are an amazing feature for this. They allow you to basically categorize your clients however you'd like by adding or removing tags based on certain triggers in the platform. So for example, maybe you want to tag your clients with specific services, packages, or programs they've booked with you. Maybe you want to tag them when they complete all modules of a certain program. Maybe you want to tag them when they complete a specific form. So there's many different ways that you can use this automation. But when you set this up, as you'll see in a moment, basically it's going to automate the tag assigning process so that you don't have to do that manually. So again, just really saving you a lot of time. And I think this is an area where things could get, a little bit chaotic for you in terms of organizing your clients if you don't have these automations set up, because you're going to have to then go back and say, okay, who booked, say, my health reset program, and you'll have to manually assign those tags, where you can actually just set this up from the get-go and it's automatically done for you. So the first example, let's say we're looking at our 6-month package. We've talked about this a couple of times. And with that, maybe you want to tag everyone who purchases that package in order to keep them organized. So that could be the first step. And then a second step with that could be, maybe you want to replace that tag once they're done the package. And so the benefit of having that automation set up to sort of replace the tag once they're done the package, they complete a certain, final session with you, is that then who has moved through all of your package programs. And so you can then maybe follow up with them later. If you have other offers you might want to share that are relevant to those who have already done a package with you and things like that. So yeah, Sam, let's take a look at how we could set up both of those sort of scenarios, tagging everyone who purchases our package, and then replacing those tags once they're done and they complete the final session.
Thanks, Jen. So I did see a couple questions here I can quickly answer relating to chat. So Nathan had asked, can we set up a patient contact via email or message to the Better app? So you can send, if your clients have activated their account, you can click this messenger button at any time to send them a message to the platform. And on our Plus plan, we do support what are called broadcasts, which allows you to send emails. And then I believe it was, let's see here, Kara had asked if if printing a chat is an option. So you can do client exports and you can export chat history. So just search our help center for, I believe it's exporting client records, and that will kind of overview how to do that. Awesome. Okay, so let's go dive back in. So we're going to talk about the tag automations. So because you can get really granular with them, I'm going to outline how we can create two of them. The first is just for simply adding tags, and another is for removing and replacing tags, which I believe Ruth had asked about. So we'll go ahead here and we'll first select the fast action icon. And this time we're going to select this option here, add, update, or remove client tags. Once I click this, because for the first automation where we're just adding tags, I am going to link this to the 6-month package that we just set up to auto confirm. So first, I'll go ahead and give this a name as usual. So I'll name this add tags for 6-month package. And you'll notice below that there are a few triggers here that are unique to tags, which I'm going to outline shortly. So for now, I'll go ahead and select trigger this automation when a package is booked. And I'll select my Better Me 6-month package. And to add the actual tag itself, all I would need to do is just click on the add action button, which is right here at the bottom. So once I click that, the remove or replace tags window will open. So from here, you have a few different options, but because I'm just adding tags this time, I'm going to go ahead and leave this as add tags. And below, I'm going to search for my 6-month package tag and then just click that. So please note that for any tags here, in order for them to show up, they do already have to exist in your My Client section. So you would create the tag first and then come here to apply it with the automation. So now that I'm done, I'll go ahead and select the Done option. And so the way I've set this up is that anytime a client purchases my 6-month program, or sorry, my 6-month package, they will automatically have this tag assigned to their record. This can be extremely handy for tracking your clients without any action required by yourself. So now I'll go ahead and select my create here, and this automation will be done. And then we'll go ahead and we're going to set up the remove and replace tags automation. So I'll press the red fast action icon again. And this time I'll be setting the same option, add, update, or remove client tags. So this time I'm going to do, I'm going to name this remove tags for 6-month package. And because I want the package tag to be removed when the client books their final session with me, this time I'm going to select trigger this automation when a service is booked, and it will expand. And then I'm going to select the drop-down menu. It will show all of my services, and I'm going to select my final session and uncheck my top service here. And then from here, I will do the same thing. I'll select the add action button, which is in the bottom right-hand corner here. And this time when the window opens, I'm going to select where it says action here. I'm going to click to drop down. And this time I'm going to do remove tags. And for this, I'm going to search for my 6-month package. And so the same tag that we used before. And this time I'm going to go ahead and select done. Now, when a client books a final session with me, the system will remove their 6-month package. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press add another. And this time I'm going to leave it as add tags again, because it's adding a tag. And I'm going to do, now it's going to do the former 6-month package. So this way I know that this client has completed the package and I haven't had to do anything on my end. It's just all being taken care of by the system automatically. So I'll go ahead and select done, and that's taken care of. So before we move on, there are a few other options here I want to talk about. Like these triggers here. So the first trigger I want to talk about is this one where you can trigger this automation for specific team members. So this is if you're on the team plan, and can be very handy if like different teammates offer different services or packages, because you can have tags apply specifically for those team members. And there's also this option here. trigger this automation, trigger this automation when a client completes all modules in a program. So this can be very useful for like if you need to follow up with your clients after they've completed a program, perhaps to see if they want to do another program or book a session with you, or what have you. So now that I'm done, I can just go ahead and select create, and my tag automation is set up.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. So I just wanted to address a question in the chat here. So Karen had asked, what if they book all dates in advance? So I think that's a good question. We were looking at the final session, booking of the final session to trigger that change in tags. And so if you were wanting to do that same example for yourself, you would need to ensure that the client books that final session when they're actually finishing the package, because if they booked it ahead of time, then it would trigger that automation too early. So you would just need to make sure that that doesn't get booked until they're finishing the package. Yeah, and I saw a couple other comments about creating a final session as a service in order to trigger the automation. Yeah, and that's definitely a great way to do this, to be able to kind of trigger that change in tags when you know they're going to be finishing, because they'll be booking that specific service which you've set up as a final session. Okay. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question, then we do want to kind of keep us moving here. Why did we add the former 6-month package tag? So that could be good and helpful for you to have a tag on all clients who complete a certain service, package, or program, because then you will be able to, anytime go back to your client list and see who has gone through a certain service, package, or program with you. So you get that at a quick glance. That will also allow you to communicate with those specific group of people via a broadcast message, and so on. So it just really helps with that organization as well as communication. Okay. All right, wonderful. So that is the tag automation. As you can tell, there's many different ways that you could use that, but we wanted to show just a couple specific examples for you. Okay. So the next piece that we want to touch on is our form automation. And I did see already a couple comments and questions about the form automation. And so hopefully this section will be supportive for you. The first one that we want to look at is sending forms after a booking is confirmed. So what this automation is going to allow you to do is automate forms going out to your clients based on a certain service being booked and confirmed. And so with forms, maybe I'll just sort of preface this too, in case anyone hasn't really used forms yet. In practice, better forms are basically a way to collect information from your client, and it's all done digitally, virtually. It's a fillable online form. Okay, so that's what a form is. So, there's many different sort of ways that you might want to use this in your business, whether it's something like, an intake form or an application form. You could even use the forms feature for something like a check-in form or a symptom questionnaire. So just anytime you want to collect information from a client, you can use a form. And the automations that we're going to look at for forms are basically just going to really streamline that process of sending those forms, which can often be a bit bulky and cumbersome on your end if you're having to remember all the time which forms need to be sent, and that kind of thing, or find them and all of that. Like, this will just totally streamline that for you, so you can set up these automations and you don't have to worry. Those forms will just go out to your clients based on the triggers that you set up. So all that to say, let's look at a couple examples of this. So maybe you want to send a short application form to clients who book your discovery sessions. You can gather more information about them, make sure it's the right fit before your call. Or maybe you have a check-in form, like I said before, that you want to be sent to all of your clients who book follow-up sessions, maybe 3 days before the follow-up session. So you can also set something like that up. So Sam, let's take a peek at a couple examples of how we can use this one.
Thanks, Jen. So I've seen a few questions that will hopefully get addressed here regarding forms being sent multiple times. So we'll go over the form automation together, and then once done, we'll hopefully have a better idea of how that whole process works. So all you need to do is, as usual, press create automation. And when we do so, this time we're going to do send forms after a booking is confirmed. So this option right here. So as you mentioned, Jen, we're going to be setting up two different types of form automations for two different purposes. So the first automation is going to be to send one form after a client has booked a discovery call with me. So I'll go ahead and I'm just going to give this a name, which will be send application form after discovery call. And under which service should trigger this form to be sent, I'll of course select the discovery call. Because I want the client to get this form as soon as they book the session, I will leave the option to when should we send forms, the when should we send forms option here, I'll leave to send forms immediately. And below, I just go ahead and select my application form because that's the one I would like to send. And then I just want to scroll down here to the very bottom. You'll see that there's this additional notes section. So this can be pretty useful for if you want to, just give your clients specific instructions on how to complete these forms. If it's your client's first, if this is an automation related to like an onboarding process, it might be good just give your clients a quick heads up about how you would like them to best complete the form so that you have all the information that you need. So then from here, that one is pretty straightforward. All I have to do is just come up here and select create. So that's my first automation done. The second automation is for a form that I want clients to complete each time they book a session with me. So in order to do that, I'll just go ahead and do the same thing, select the red plus button in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'll do send forms after a booking is confirmed again. And then this time I'll give it a name. So I'll just name it send check-in forms before follow-up consultation. So this time, because I want the client to receive the form in advance of the session, I need to check my follow-up consultation here first. And then this time, because I want them to receive it in advance of the session, underneath when should we send forms, I'm going to expand this and just switch it over to schedule forms to be sent before or after session date. So I'll enable that. And then you can schedule your forms and when you'd like them to be sent. So I'm going to change this from 2 days before session to 3 days before session. So that way they have it well in advance and have the time to complete it. So the important setting that I was mentioning earlier is this option here. The client may complete form multiple times option. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. So what this does is that if it's enabled, the client can receive this form more than once. So that means, like, for example, each time they book this follow-up consultation, they'll receive the form. If it's disabled, as it was in the first automation we created, the application form, it will only be sent once to the client, even if that client were to book the service again. That way, it allows you to control which forms are being sent to them and making sure they're not receiving duplicates of forms that you don't want them to be getting more than once. But because I do want them to receive this more than once, that's why I've enabled this option. And then lastly, underneath which forms would you like to send, I'm going to go ahead and check off my check-in form. And that would basically be it. One thing to note too is you can send multiple forms. So if I wanted to send any one of the forms that I offer, I can set those all to go off with the same automation. But now that I'm done, all I have to do is click create as usual, and my automation is finished.
Perfect. Yeah. So just to recap, those ones, we've sort of set it up in two different ways to allow an application form to be sent as soon as the discovery call is booked. So that was the first one. And then the second one there, to send our check-in form 3 days before the follow-up consultation. So that, that really helps in terms of managing the client and their experience. Also your workflow, you're not having to remember to send it a certain amount of time before the session. You could also use that automation to send it a certain amount of time after the session too. So if you had a form you wanted to follow up after a specific session with, you could do that as well. So there's a few different ways that you could definitely use those form automations. All right. And with the form automations too, you can also set this up for your packages. So not only for your services, but also for your packages. So let's say again, for that 6-month package, maybe you have a few onboarding forms that you want the client to complete when they book that package with you. So maybe an intake questionnaire and an onboarding check-in form. Those are just a couple examples. And you want those to automatically go out to the client when they book that package. And actually, one thing I'll just mention briefly here is that we actually have an onboarding check-in form that we want to provide to all of you as a free gift for completing our feedback survey for this deep dive. And now the link to that feedback survey is going to be provided in the replay email that you receive. And so if you complete that survey, then we're going to send you all the details you need to be able to download the onboarding check-in form in your own Practice Better portal so that you can use that with your clients too. So if you want to, have some onboarding forms go out to your clients before, certain sessions or after they book a package, then you'll have that onboarding check-in form to use in your own account. So just wanted to mention that. But yeah, let's take a look at how we could set this automation up. So again, we want to set it up so that when someone books our 6-month package, they automatically receive a couple of our onboarding forms. Okay, so let's take a look at that, Sam.
Thanks, Jen. So a couple quick form questions I can answer right now. So someone mentioned about if you have forms included with a module of your program. So if you do have a program that has a form, you would not need to send that again via an automation unless you wanted to for whatever reason, because that form will be released with the module to the client. So if you only need them to receive it once, you can just put it in your program and you're good to go. And then Juliet asks, are these forms on the Practice Better Forms and Waivers library list? So we do have some pre-built templates. It's in My Practice and Forms and Waivers. If you press the red plus button, there'll be a create from template option, and all of the templates that we offer are available there. As well, you can all share forms with one another if you have colleagues who work with the platform. Just search our help article, sharing forms with colleagues, and you can all share forms with one another, which is quite handy because I've seen some creative uses of forms. Perfect. So as you mentioned, Jen, the send forms after package automation, package is confirmed automation is similar to the ones that we just set up for booking. So in order to create it, again, I'll select the fast action icon. And this time I'm going to do send forms after a package is confirmed. So as usual, I'll go ahead and give this a name. I'm just going to name this one something simple. I'll name it 6-month package forms. And underneath which package to trigger this automation, we'll use the same one that we've been using throughout the deep dive, the Better Me 6 months package. And in this case, because I don't want these clients to complete the form multiple times, I'll leave the option disabled. And then underneath which forms would you like to send, I'll go ahead and check off my intake questionnaire and my onboarding check-in form so they receive both of those once this package is confirmed. So now all I would need to do, as usual, is go ahead and select create. And as you can see, as we've been going along through the deep dive, these automations, the more you do them, the easier they are to set up. So I'll send it back to you now, Jen.
Perfect. And I just wanted to answer a quick question from Rose. Is there an option to send a check-in form to current clients who book after a delayed period, such as a year since you've seen them? So with the form automation, the max amount of time you can delay a form to be sent is 1 week. So there wouldn't be an option to do a year for that one. So in that case, you probably, what you could do is just set up a task with a reminder for yourself in the platform to follow up in a year and send that form. Okay. All right. So yeah, and Julie's saying she sees 5 forms under the Practice Better template, more than 5 are shown here. Yeah, so in Sam's demo account that we're looking at here, so there's going to be additional forms that we have set up just for demo purposes that aren't necessarily available as templates in Practice Better. So that will be why you're seeing a difference there. Okay. All right, wonderful. So yeah, that last one was pretty simple. It's very similar again to sending forms after a booking is confirmed, but we set that up for our package. So we can also send out again those onboarding forms, which is, just going to create a really nice experience for the client. When they book that package, they'll just really seamlessly receive those forms automatically to complete. And there's no sort of delay. They can just do those right on, virtually. Through the platform and just really, really easy for them. Okay. So we're going to continue on here with our forms automations. We have one more form automation to look at, which this will allow you to actually automatically pull any form data from your client's record from your client's completed form into their client record. So let's say that you have important health information that your client has inputted into, say, an intake questionnaire that you want to automatically have placed in certain areas of their client record. So instead of having to go back to the form each time to review that information and find that information, you can set up a mapping, which we're going to show you, and then you can set up this information, this automation to automatically pull that into the client record. So that is just, I think, one of the nicest ways to sort of streamline that aspect of your workflow, to make it really easy for you and just always ensure that you have all the information right at your fingertips that's important to you from your client's completed forms, right? So let's take a look at that, Sam. So we're going to look at first the mapping piece. So how you can set that up, which is basically just choosing which data you want to go where from your form to your client's record, and then setting up the automation to automatically have that placed in the client record without any additional manual steps.
Thanks, Jen. So personally, I think the form mapping automation is one of the biggest time savers on our platform. So as you mentioned, Jen, in order to actually create the automation, we'll first need to create the mapping itself. So to do so, you just click on My Practice at the top here, and we're going to go ahead and go to Forms and Waivers. And when I do so, you'll see this little mapping and settings option here at the top. I would just go ahead and click on that. And when I do so, it will bring me to my mapping section. So here, I'm going to go ahead and press this Add Mapping button. And when I do so, it will populate with all the list forms I have in my system. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my intake questionnaire, as if I'm setting up my kind of first form mapping here. So I'll click that off. And then when I do so, this Edit Mapping window will open. So what we're basically doing here is we're telling practice better what information should be pulled from the form on the left-hand side here. And on the right-hand side, we're telling it where it should place it in the client record. So for the first mapping, I'm going to do a very common one that I see, which is personal information. So I'll just select the drop-down menu here, and all of the questions on my forms from my form will populate. But I'm just going to go ahead and click on personal information. And then on the right-hand side, underneath select a destination, these are all the areas where I can import it into Practice Better. So because we actually have the personal information section in Practice Better, I'll go ahead and check that. So this means that the information that client has filled out using the personal information element of a form, such as their address or their date of birth, that will be automatically pulled from the form and placed into their client's basic information section in their record, so that you can go back and review it anytime. So let's kind of add a few more, just give you an idea of what you can really do with it. So I'll select Add Mapping again. And this time, I'm on the left-hand side, I'll select the drop-down menu. And I have a question here, list your current health concerns in order of importance. So I'll go ahead and check that off. And then where I want that to map to, I could choose wherever I like, but because we actually have a medical history current health concerns option here, that to me would be the best place to put it. So I'll just go ahead and check that off. And then we'll do one more mapping. So I'll just click Add Mapping again. And on the left-hand side, I'll go through my questions. And this time I'm going to select, do you avoid these foods, which is right here. So let's go ahead and select that. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to choose to map it to the diet and lifestyle section. And I'm going to do dietary restrictions. So I've seen really, really creative uses of these. You can really customize this like as however you want, essentially. It's very, very handy. So basically you can go through all the questions that you want to be mapped. And then once you're done, you can just go ahead and select Save, and the mapping will be ready. So one thing to note here is you can just leave it there and have it be so that each time a client completes a form, you have to go and map it, like import it manually into the record, you can do that. But personally, I think it's a huge time saver to do the automation portion where it does that automatically for you. So basically, anytime a client completes my intake questionnaire, it pulls all of the data into their client record. So to set that up, we're going to go back to My Practice, and then we'll go ahead and select the automations option here. We'll go back to where we've been working for most of the deep dive. And this time I'll press the fast action icon again. And the option I'm going to select is this one here, import completed forms into client files. So I'll go ahead and click that. And then because you can have multiple form imports, you can create multiple ones. I'm going to do the intake questionnaire, so that way I know which import this is specifically for. And then underneath select a form, it's already chosen the form of intake questionnaire. And this is the mapping that we had just set up in the form mapping. If a mapping didn't exist, you would get a prompt that you would need to create one first. And then once I add more mappings and more forms, they'll appear as options in the drop-down menu here. So that would be it for the actual import itself. Very, very straightforward once a mapping has been created. All I would need to do from here is select create. And then that's pretty much it. So now the way that I've set this up is that each time, as I mentioned, the client completes that intake questionnaire, that form will be automatically mapped to the record and will really save you lots of time in the long run.
Yeah, this is such a great one, Sam. So I see a couple questions I'll just address on this one. So is mapping available on all plans? Yes, it is. Good question. And I'm going to answer one more just because I want to make sure we can get to everything today. So let me see. I'm just finding the question from Danielle. Can you have multiple questions mapping to the same destination? Yes, you can. Yep. Yep. So that's, you can, if you have multiple questions that you want to go into the same place in the client record, you can definitely set that up. That's no problem. Okay. Wonderful. So yeah, definitely a really great way to save time in your workflow to use this mapping and automation option for your form responses. And, definitely if you want kind of a deeper dive on that one, we have some great help articles and tutorial videos. And yeah, just recommend, as with all of these automations or anything you're setting up in the platform to, play around with it. And a way that you can do that is by, if you haven't already, setting up a test client for yourself, which is just, a client using your own email address that's different from your practitioner email address. And that'll just allow you to try out some of these things, with a test client to see if it's, functioning how you want it to, and so on. Okay. Wonderful. So shifting into our next section here, now that you have a few form automations set up, let's look at our task automations. So our task automations are actually often a great complement to some of the form automations, which we'll explain in a moment. But tasks in practice better, so you can create tasks for both yourself, your clients, and if you're on a team plan for team members. And it really just helps to keep everyone organized. Also keep your clients accountable and engaged in the work you're doing together, and so on. So a really nice feature for that. And then when we're looking at the automations aspect of tasks, this is just, automating the creation of those tasks. So this can be triggered for a service, a package, or program when that's booked, or even if a form is completed. But let's look at one specific example here. Let's say that you want to create a task for yourself. So for yourself as the practitioner, to review your clients' onboarding forms once they complete them. So you want to remind yourself to look at those forms once they're completed. And you can set this up as an automation so that that task is automatically completed for you when the client completes certain forms. So Sam, let's set that one up.
Thanks, Jen. So I did see two good questions about the mappings that we had just done. So Karen had asked, do you do this for each client, or is it set up as a general rule for all? So the mapping that we just created together, that one will be for all clients. So that's a good thing. You don't have to do it per client. It's just one mapping for all clients. And Francine had asked, will everything in the form be mapped or only what you set up? And it's only going to be what you set up. The reason is that we want you to have control of what you want to import. So it's basically like we map those 3 questions. It would only be those 3 questions from my form that would get imported. Anything that you add manually. Awesome. So let's go ahead and we'll do the task automation, which I again think is one of the best features of our platform. It can basically be your own personal to-do list without you actually having to create the list. So the automation we will configure will trigger a task when a client has completed the forms so that I can remind myself to review them. So again, I'll select the fast action icon. And this time I'm going to select the create tasks option at the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and name this this automation review onboarding forms. And I'm going to trigger this so that when a client completes a form. So I'll go ahead and check this off. And then in the drop-down menu, I'll select the intake questionnaire that we were working with earlier. So scroll down and it's right here. So now it's triggered for this specific form. And then now what I would have to do is I would click add task right here. So this is me actually creating the task itself. So under who is this task for, I'm going to leave this as for myself. However, if I wanted the client to complete a task as well, such as uploading an image to their documents section or anything really, I could create a task for the client too, just by expanding this and doing for a client. I can also have the same automation trigger for both myself and the client at the same time. So I'll give the task itself a name, and this is more for because I'm creating this for myself, this is just for my own reference. So I'll just do review forms. And what I'm going to do here is below, I'm going to set a due date for myself just to make sure that I keep on top of everything. So I'll click on set a due date. And I'm going to, when I do so, this will expand. And I'm going to do 7 days after the task is created. So that way I have a deadline of to when I need to review these forms. And one other option here that I'm going to enable is if I scroll down to the very bottom, I'm going to turn on this option that says send a notification when task is created. I'll expand and click on that. And then that way I can make sure that there's no reason for me not to see that I have a task to do. And now that I've finished, I've created the task, I've assigned it to myself, and I've given it a name. All I would need to do is press add. And you'll see here that the task now appears under my task to complete, and I could add more if I needed to. So once done, all I have to do is select create here at the top, and my task automation is good to go.
Great. Love that, Sam. So another example we want to show with our task automation is the ability to schedule tasks to be created either before or after a session date. So let's say, for example, following what we were talking about earlier when we set up our form automation, we set up a form automation to send that check-in form to clients 3 days before our follow-up session. But let's say you also want to create a task with a reminder for your client to actually complete that form. So not only will they be sent the form using that form automation we already set up, but we can set up a task automation here to create that task to help keep them kind of compliant to completing that form, right? So this is just one way you could use this, but thought it would be a nice complement to that form automation to actually create a task with a reminder for our client to complete that form, just to support them even further in actually getting that done, reminding them to complete it, and so on. So yeah, let's set that one up, Sam.
Thanks, Jen. So because I already have an automation in place to confirm my booking requests, I can now configure when to create tasks after a booking is confirmed. A really handy thing about automations is how they can kind of piggyback off one another in this fashion. So it really allows you to kind of customize them and get your whole onboarding workflow good to go. So again, I'll press the create automation button. And this time I'll select the one at the very bottom, schedule a task after a booking is confirmed. So as you mentioned, Jen, this is meant to be a reminder for the client to complete the forms. So this time I'll name the automation client reminder to complete forms. And underneath which service to trigger this option, I'll go ahead and select my follow-up consultation. Whoop, my apologies, I just missed the checkbox there. There we go, follow-up consultation. And then underneath when should we create the tasks, similar to how we did the form one earlier, I'm going to expand this. And I'm going to have the task be scheduled before or after the session date. And I'll expand that. And then because I want these forms to be completed in advance of the session, again, I'll switch this from 2 days to 3 days. And then all we would need to do now is the same as we did with our other one. We'll go ahead and click on add task. And this time, as I mentioned, we're going to switch it from who is this task for, and I'm going to expand this and I'm going to switch it to the client this time. So this one you might want to be a bit more descriptive of what you want to do, because this is the task that the client is going to receive. So it's always good to be as, just as clear as possible. So I'll name this reminder to complete my form. So that way the client has the reminder, they're good to go. There shouldn't be any reason why they don't complete the forms. And then I'm going to leave all the other settings as is, but this time I am going to enable this option here, which is send a reminder to complete this task. So I'll go ahead and check this off, and I'm going to send the reminder 1 day after the task is created. So that way they'll receive a notification when the task is created, and then receive a reminder 1 day after. And then from here, all I do is go ahead and click on add. And then my automation is all finished, easy peasy. And I just go here and select create. And my automation is done.
Perfect. Yeah, so that one is a really nice option, again, like we were saying, just to complement another automation with the forms. They don't speak to each other necessarily, but you can use that task automation to just accompany another automation you have set up for the forms, just to even further support the client and sort of keep them accountable to completing that form by setting up that task. So those were just a couple examples of the ways that you could use the task automations, but you can really get creative with those. And so what we would encourage you to do is just sort of think about where are there places in my workflow and my work with clients that I want to keep myself organized, keep them accountable, and see if it makes sense to bring in a task automation to support both of you in that process. Okay. So recognize that we are just a couple minutes over already, and we have a couple more things to go through here. So if anyone does have to drop off, just a reminder, this is being recorded and you will receive the replay, so you can come back to it anytime. Okay. Wonderful. So our last automation that we want to look at together is really being able to automate your clients' payments. So what you can actually do in Practice Better is schedule installment payments for your services, your packages, and your programs. So this can actually be set up right here in the automation section, or when you're setting up your service, your package, your program under advanced options, you can also include a payment plan, an installment payment option there. And that would be, a good idea if you want the client to purchase that offering themselves and, set up those installment payments, and it's all streamlined on that side. But if you actually want to set up the installment payments for your clients, then this is one place you could do that. So a couple examples of where you might want to use this. So maybe you want to collect ongoing payments on a monthly basis for, say, a membership that you have. So that would be one place you could use it. Maybe you want to collect a fixed number of installments for a certain service package or program. So let's look at that example. So again, using our 6-month package, maybe you want your client to be able to pay in monthly installments for that package throughout the 6 months, instead of having to pay one full fee up front. So that's what you can set up using this automation, and then those monthly payments will automatically be charged to the client. And Sam will show us a couple different ways that we can set up that payment. But yeah, let's look at that automation, Sam.
Thanks, Jen. So one last time, we'll go ahead and click on the fast action icon. And we're going to go ahead and create the only automation we haven't done yet, which is the schedule installment payments. So we'll click on that. And when you do so, your client list will appear. So I'm going to use my client, Timmy. And here, by default, it will put in just, their name and payment plan. But if you do run a lot of payment plans, it might be good, as I've kind of suggested throughout this webinar, just to give it a custom name, so in case you ever need to refer back to it. So I'm going to rename this to Timmy Smith payment plan for 6-month package, so I know exactly what it's for. So underneath here, I want to show you an option. There's this how would you like to process payments option. So I'm going to leave it as charge card if available, meaning that if they have a credit card on file, they will be billed automatically. However, there is this option here to send invoices to your client for payment. This would be more if you want them to kind of pay it at their leisure. But I do want to leave the charge card is available option, charge card if available option enabled. So underneath is this link to a session package or program. I'll expand that. And because my client is enrolled in the Better Me package, that will expand as well. If they were enrolled in other packages or services, those would show as well. So I'll go ahead and click on my Better Me 6-month package. And when I do so, the starting balance here that populated is the price of the package, and will populate it if you linked from an existing package. So the $1,200 here is the cost of it, and that populated automatically. The installment payment field is where I can decide how much I would like them to be billed per installment. So I'm going to select this as $200. I'm going to have that billed over 6 months because that's the length of their package. Below, I can also set up my payment options. So you'll see here, I can have the payments be scheduled daily, monthly, or weekly. But I'm just going to go ahead and create this as a monthly payment plan. It will repeat every month. It's going to start tomorrow. The first payment is going to come out tomorrow, and it will trigger at 9 a.m. But you'll see below there's a few different options. You can repeat it by the day of the week or do it on the last weekday of month. So that allows you to really kind of customize these payment plans. This is really good if you're the type of practitioner who really likes to customize how your payment plans are scheduled. And then that's it. All I would need to do from here is I'll click create. And when I do so, this little prompt will come up that says review your installment schedule. So all I need to do is, this is just to make sure that everything looks good to you. So I would go ahead and click on review installments. And when I do so, you can see this is the payment structure that I've outlined. The first one is going to trigger tomorrow for $200, and then it will go for 6 months until the package is complete on September 29th. So that all looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and select continue. And then I want my client to receive a notification about this, but I do have the option, of course, if I've spoken with them, like it was an in-person session and they're aware of it and I don't necessarily need to notify them, I can do the skip confirmation option, but I'll leave it as send confirmation so that way they get an email notification for the records. Then from here, I'll go ahead and select schedule. And by default, it's going to take you to the payment plan window. But if I were to go back here to my practice and automations, you'll see here that my payment plan appears with my other automations as well, and it's all good to go.
Yeah, that's such a great one, Sam. And I know there's a few questions that, different varying questions about payment plans, payment options, installments, and all of that kind of thing. So we're going to be sending a list of resources after with your replay with links to specific help articles for these things. So if there's further, aspects that you want to look into that's really specific to your situation, then just know that you'll receive all that information that you need. Okay. So the very last thing we want to look at is sort of how this all comes together. Okay, so we have gone through and we've set up, a whole host of automations for ourselves. And even just looking at this list that Sam has on his screen, you can imagine how much time that's actually going to save you, in your workflow as you go, forward working with clients. Like each of these automations is really just going to save you a lot of time and create a great experience for your clients. Allowing you to, get more referrals and all of that kind of thing. It just all comes together and allowing you to grow and scale with more ease, right? So what we want to look at next is another way that you can sort of see this all come together is with the client recent activity stream. So in your client's record, they will all have what we call a client recent activity stream, which you'll see in a moment is a log of all the activity that has gone on in relation to our client. And so this is going to highlight some of these automations sort of in action, and we'll just sort of give you that high level picture of, all the different actions that go on with these automations that you don't have to worry about manually at all. So yeah, Sam, let's take a peek at that.
Thanks, Jen. So before I show you that, there was a question by Janice, a good one about payment plans here. So she asked, so you have to create the payment plan for each client. So if I want it to be custom, like I want to do that myself, then I would do so here. But if you attach a payment plan to like a service, a package, or a program that you offer, and you like your clients book themselves, they have the option to select the payment plan and it will enroll them in that automatically. This option is just for if you need to create custom payment plans for clients, or if you like to kind of control that yourself and set up custom installments or schedules or amounts. But yeah, let's bring this all home because over the past hour that we spent in this deep dive, we've created almost a dozen automations here, which will save us tons of time in the future. So to kind of like visualize this and get an idea of what we did, we'll go to my clients at the top here. And I'm going to pull up my client, Timmy, who had registered me with a few days ago. So I'll click on his record. And then, so when these automations had been set up, they had received a lot of activity for it. So Timmy, he registered for the package here, the Better Me 6-month package. So then he was invited to the platform as per our inviting clients automation. And then his 6-month package tag was applied to his record because of our tags automation. So you'll see this is the tag right here that was applied to his record automatically. And the intake questionnaire and onboarding forms were both sent to him via our forms automation when a package is confirmed. And although you cannot see it in the recent activity stream, the 6-month package was also confirmed automatically as well. So the system basically did all of that without me needing to do a thing. And then when other things that we set up for our automation are triggered, such as like removing tags when he books his final session or receiving tasks when a service is booked, they will appear here in the recent activity stream as well. So what I always recommend to people is the recent activity stream is always the best place to kind of come in and check on your automations and just review and make sure they're sending everything that you would like.
Yeah, I love this view, Sam. It's such a nice way to see it all come together, and hopefully that sort of helps highlight even a little bit further all that we've accomplished today and all the ways that you can really save so much time, support your clients on an even higher level, and all allowing you to scale and grow your practice with more ease and all of that. So we will bring things to a close today. So we'll go ahead and we'll put our cameras back on here. Sam, you can stop sharing your screen. Let me just make you the host again here. So thank you so much, everyone. We know that was a lot to cover, so we appreciate you sticking with us. And like we said, we have some amazing resources to follow up with you on. I'm going to put a couple things in the chat, but again, we're going to be sending it out in our replay email. You'll receive the replay for this session, but know that you have our help center. This is definitely one of the best ways to find any answers you have or any answers to your questions that you may have still following the session. And we also have our YouTube channel, which if you're more of someone who learns, great on video, then you can check that out. We also have our Facebook group. So if you are on a paid Practice Better plan, we would love to welcome you into the Facebook group. It's our inner circle group, a really amazing way to find answers to your questions, to connect with like-minded practitioners, to learn from each other and how you're using the platform. It's really an amazing community. So if you're on a paid plan, I put the link in the chat there and would love to welcome you into the group. And I think that's kind of it. So you'll receive that replay email with the session recording with a bunch of help article links to everything we spoke about today, and also the feedback survey for the deep dive. Again, if you do complete that feedback survey for us, which we so very much appreciate all of your feedback and thoughts on the session, then we'll be sending you the access code for an onboarding check-in form that you can use in your own Practice Better account with clients as just a free gift for completing that feedback. So I think that's everything. Thank you all so much for being here. We love connecting with you on these monthly deep dives, and we will see you back next month for our next deep dive. And until then, we're wishing you all the best and hope to see you on the platform. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
for
Sam.
coming. Have a good one.